Welcome to the weekend wrap. Today we're going to talk about the week's motorsport news, and we're going to do this every weekend. So join me and subscribe to the channel so you can see this every single week. We're going to talk about all the news that's happened in motorsport over the last week. Now it's off season, so it's the quiet time. So you might think that it's a bit quiet, but no, there is still plenty to digest. We're going to start with a little bite from Formula E, and they have partnered with Roblox with a new game, or part of the Roblox game, in which you can experience Formula E cars from all four generations, 1 to 4. So you've got 4 generations of Formula E cars. You have got all the official racing teams. So you've got Porsche, Jaguar, Nissan, etc. And you've got real stylized circuits. You've got London in there. So that's the one that goes through the Excel Centre. That is going to be very, very cool and a lot of fun to play. Miami, Tokyo, etc. There's going to be loads of unlockable stuff. There's going to be custom liveries, avatars, etc. And you can do multiplayer racing as well. So Formula E, the electric series, now joins Roblox with a new game. That is super exciting. Everything else is F1. And like I say, it's off season, but there is still plenty of news. We're going to start with the FIA have confirmed the entry list and all of the new numbers. So Lando Norris is taking the number 1. Pretty much everyone else is staying the same, apart from Max Verstappen, obviously loses the 1. He used to be number 33, but he is changing to just number 3. A little bit simpler, just number 3. Last used, of course, by Daniel Ricciardo. So that does kind of confirm that he's definitely not coming back. Perez and Bottas obviously joining the grid, and they are having the same numbers they had before, so 11 and 77. And the other new entrant on the list is Arvid Lindblad, who is going to be car number 41 in the Racing Bulls. Next up, the aero restrictions have been released. So the table of performance balance that you get if you are finished top of the standings in 2025, you get the least amount of wind tunnel testing time for the following year. So the idea is that it closes up the gap a little bit from bottom to top, because those at the bottom have more time to work on their cars and improve the aero and bring their cars up to scratch. It's been the case for a few years now. So as you would expect, Alpine had a terrible year, and I'm repping the Alpine hoodie today. Alpine finished at the bottom of the championship, so they get the most tunnel time, along with Cadillac, of course, because they weren't even in the championship last year. So they start with 115% of the wind tunnel time, and McLaren only gets 70% of the base limit. So McLaren are the most impacted by winning, but obviously that is the way it works, isn't it? It's kind of what you expect. I mean, Ferrari, I suppose, are the big winners there, because they end up with 85%. So that's quite a lot, because they finished 4th. If they'd have finished any higher, then of course they would have lost some time. So they probably have the most gain from this in that top leading battle as we head into the new regulations for 2026. On the subject of Ferrari, they have revealed that they have a Spec A plan for the first car that they're going to launch for 2026. It's going to be like a base spec, and then they're going to work from there on further specs. So it doesn't fill you with a lot of confidence. Does it tell you that they're going to be working so hard on the new car that they've kind of rushed through a base spec to get something out to testing so that they can extend the time longer that they're working on the real car? Is it that they're cutting it finer than everybody else? Does that mean they're going to have more time to develop? Or are they behind? That's the question, isn't it? And you just don't know. So, oh, wow. Is this a big good thing or a bad thing for Ferrari? Let me know in the comments below whether you think Ferrari are going to do better or worse. And do you think if they're terrible again, Lewis Hamilton walks away? I don't know. I'm genuinely worried about that. Williams Racing have announced that after the fan vote livery we talked about in previous weeks, the fan vote livery has been chosen, and that is the winning livery. It is the Flow livery, and I think it looks really good. I probably wasn't my favourite out of the choices, but there you go. That's the one that has been chosen by you peoples. Some new rules have been changed, so the stewards now have the power to start a right of review. So if a penalty has been given, previously teams can protest that. So if you've given a penalty, you can say, hold on, there's some more evidence you didn't look at or whatever, and bring that back to the stewards, or you can request that it goes back to the stewards. Now, previously, the stewards weren't able to do that themselves. The competitor had to do it. So now if the stewards get given a new piece of information, they can reopen that themselves. So it's just a little bit of common sense, really, because it means that if new information comes to light, they do have to act on it, or they can act on it if they wish to. So that is pretty good common sense, and it makes a change for there to be some common sense. As you would have seen in the F1 2026 guide, there is a brand new circuit in 2026, and that is in Spain. It is the Madrid in Madrid. Of course, that's going to take the Spanish GP name, and that is going to be, has got a new long-term deal. So the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, where we've been going for many years for the Spanish Grand Prix, is going to be, it has clearly ended its deal, or the deal has run out and they've decided not to renew it. However, there is play to try and keep it on the calendar, and we already know that Spa in Belgium is going to go to a rolling every other year contract to save costs, and it looks like the track that fits into the every other year we're there could well be Spain in the Catalunya track, which is a great track and is obviously used for testing and all that. And there have been some decent races there over the last few years, especially since they removed that final chicane. I think that's really helped. So I think that's a good thing. We'll obviously see them this year because their contract overlapped slightly with the Madrid one. So we'll see them this year, and then quite possibly it looks like we'll see them again in 2028. And the other news about circuits was that the Portimao circuit has been brought back onto the calendar from 2027, and that's going to replace the Dutch Grand Prix, which the last one is 2026. So back to Portugal as well, another European circuit and a real racing circuit as well, not a city circuit. So thank heavens for that. We do love a proper race circuit, and the previous two Portuguese Grand Prix at the Portimao circuit have both been won by Lewis Hamilton in Mercedes. Some news on Forbes website here about Christian Horner. It's been, the rumours have picked back up again that he could be heading to Alpine. Looks like he could be purchasing a percentage stake in the team. Now, 24% of the team is held by a consortium of superstars, effectively. There's a list down here somewhere. So Rory McIlroy, Ryan Reynolds, etc., and Anthony Joshua. Some real celebrities in there. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold had a bit of that as well, didn't he? But it looks like that group could be selling that percentage off. And they will have made a few quid on it because F1 teams have risen in value. So that would have been a good quick investment to get in, keep it there for a year or so and then sell it off again. And it looks like Christian Horner could be potentially looking to purchase that. That way he gets the skin in the game that he wanted and becomes part of the team's fabric, which I think could be a very good thing. I believe he might be friends with Flavio as well. So you could see something happening there, couldn't you? It'd be interesting to see how that goes with rebrands and things, because I can't imagine them staying as Alpine. They've not got Renault engines anymore either, so they've got Mercedes engines. So it could be an interesting and yet more turbulent times for the Enstone-based team for the next 12 months or so. One to watch out for. Obviously, Christian Horner can't really do anything until March anyway, because of the gardening leave he was imposed on at Red Bull. So let's see how that progresses. Now, one for the nerds, and those of you that are as old as me remember the Microprose, the Jeff Crammond racing games, which were absolutely brilliant. I mean, they're aged a bit now, but they are bringing them back, so you'll be able to get them on Steam. And look at these beautiful images. That even looks like Ron Dennis, doesn't it? Those racing games, if you love a bit of nostalgia, they're coming to Steam, and that is really exciting. So I love that. A little bit of nostalgic gaming for you there. Last one, potentially a big storm coming over on The Race. We Are The Race. Check it out on their website because the deep dive and all the information is on there. But there are two manufacturers that look like there could be already a 2026 F1 engine loophole controversy. Is one of them not quite playing by the rules? We shall see. Now, it looks like Mercedes and Red Bull are the two that are head-to-head in their interpretation of the rules on this one. And the issue seems to revolve around a clever way to have higher compression ratio limit than what has been allowed or theoretically imposed within the rules. It's quite technical, so I do urge you to go and read it on the race website. I think they've also got a YouTube deep dive video explaining the intricacies of that, but it is potentially a really big performance advantage if you can squeeze out some higher compression. So there is a potential big benefit there, and it does mean that someone is potentially operating within the sort of grey areas in the rules, which will need to be tightened up. So that is potentially the first big bust up coming of this brand new rules era in Formula One. Now, they're all the news stories I've picked out that I think are fascinating for you, even on a off-season quiet week. There's never a quiet week in motorsport, is there? I'll be back next year in between the Christmas and New Year crimbo limbo time with any news that's popped up. So please do subscribe to the channel, and also subscribe to the West Country Reels by Gone in 60 Seconds, because over on the other channel, on the sister channel, we've got loads of car content coming up, including a review of the Tesla Model Y. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much.